I don't remember the last time I did this. It's been 5 years, I think. This is a very new setup. I got the cheapest ring light there is. Not gonna make things schmancy. You could hear the noise outside my building. I changed the setup a bit. It's better. Alright, so why am I doing this? I used to write year-end entries on my blog. And, well, it would always be in written form. And I figured, the year that we had, some things are better said with facial expressions. Well, I don't think this is a facial expression I would use a lot for 2020. Anyway, to start things off, a little disclaimer. I am speaking from my own personal experience. I know that we've all gone through 2020 differently. I don't want to sound insensitive. I know that there are people out there who've gone through much worse than I have, and I don't want to invalidate anyone's experiences, and with that being said, I don't want to invalidate my experiences. So things I might be saying might come from a privileged, standpoint. And so here are the things that 2020 has taught me. I learned how to sit with feeling uncomfortable. Being an introvert, I enjoy my own company, and I know I still do, but take away all the other things that you use to escape reality from. When the lockdown happened, I thought that I'd be completely fine with it, because this is something I normally do by myself anyway, blah blah blah. But then when you know that a certain part of your freedom, if that makes sense, is taken away from you, you're forced to deal with being in the moment. And that's not something I do a lot. I used to have all these things to aid in escaping reality, and when those things were sort of taken away from me, I would be sitting at home. And I think the first 2 weeks of the lockdown were good. I was sort of enjoying myself. And then the third week happened, and it's when it really hit me that, wait a minute, what is happening? That's when I realized how much things were changing. And then at the same time, it sort of forced me into a corner. And I feel like everything that happened kept staring at me in the face, and then at the same time you also feel like the future is staring at you in the face. And then there's this whole thing of the present that seems very surreal, and then it's just all of these things weighing down on you. And it took me a while, and I think somehow I'm still trying to figure out how to actually shut everyone up and just be. Little by little, I've sort of mastered it. No, not really, that's a lie. Lately, the silence doesn't seem very loud anymore. Letting go of toxic everything. Oh my god, where do I start with this? I don't know how to say this. I think it took a while before I realized how toxic some of my relationships are, and I mean platonic and relationships with family. I think I just got so fed up. That's the thing about spending so much time by yourself and with yourself. You somewhat learn how to build boundaries, very healthy boundaries at that. I could finally put my foot down and say, you know what? No. I've done my part. If these relationships even end up, being repaired, then good. And if they don't, well, then I'm fine with that too. I've always been a pushover. I think it's how I was conditioned, and I was beaten up a lot as a child, and I grew up thinking, that was love. And I learned how to, unpack all my childhood trauma. And because of that, it made me learn how to identify what is toxic in my life. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do, and it definitely hurts, especially when you know that it means shutting certain people out, drawing certain lines for people not to cross. But in the long run, you always have to put yourself first. You have to think about yourself, because no one's actually gonna do that for you. And because of that, it taught me how to look at my relationships differently, all my relationships, and see which are, the real ones. I've got myself. We say that a lot, like, I've got me. I didn't really realize the weight of that statement until this year. I would sit in this room. There would be days when I would be hysterically crying over the smallest thing. There were certain times when I'd ask myself, like, should I pity myself because of how I'm trying to self-soothe? But then I always come back to the thought that when I get past this, I'm going to be so fucking proud of myself, because it's something that I've managed to surpass alone. I've got a handful of good people, okay? I know that, but at the same time, you know what I mean. Time is all I have and all I don't. Finding the balance between these two statements. I think I would try to analyze the situation I'm at and say, I've got time. I've got time for this. I can chill. And there would be days where I'd be like, I don't have time. This is something I have to do. I feel like life is a balance of, those two things. Because if you look at it, like, time is relative, blah, blah, blah. But it's all we have. And at the same time, it's all we don't have. I feel like if I explain this further, it's just gonna lose its meaning. So let me leave it at that. It's not wrong to find comfort in what's familiar. 2020 pushed us all out of our comfort zones. Ironically, by being at home. Yeah, it's not a weakness to retreat. So many people, at least the ones I know, would panic and, ask me, so what are your plans? You've got to have a plan. I'm like, whoa, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like, there was no solid ground for me to plan anything on. That, in turn, made me pull back a lot. I tried to, just find comfort in the things that I could control, in the things that were familiar. I think that, to be able to do that during a time like this is something that we should be proud of. Not a lot of people are, able to live with the fact that, I'm gonna make do with what I have and with, like what's going on. And, not be like, oh, it's big brain time. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And not all of us are built to function that way in a crisis. I always thought that there was something wrong with me, for not like coming up with a list of plans and whatever. I realized that doing that just, made my anxiety worse. It made me self-sabotage more. A time like this is supposed to sit you down and just have you stay there and be. And that there's nothing wrong with it. I learned that it's okay not to know everything. I think it's very relevant to what I said previously, but our obsession with knowing where we're gonna be in the next 5 years or so. I don't even know what I'm gonna do next weekend. I mean, yes, I get it. It's nice to have a plan. It's nice to have goals, yes. But if you're gonna pressure me to the point where I can't even, enjoy what I'm doing at the moment or how I'm living my life at the moment, then I don't see a point to that. I do have things in mind that I want to do and accomplish, but something solid, do I have that? Not at the moment. And until the dust completely settles. I'm not gonna be able to have anything set. We're meant to be floating this year, and that's completely fine. Completely fine. There's nothing wrong with the fact that most of us just want to stay at home on weekends and not do shit. I've learned what it means to peacefully close out a chapter. I think you know what I'm talking about. People have been asking me if it's been tough dealing with this by myself, and I'm not gonna lie and say, oh, it's been peachy. Of course it hasn't. But at the same time, I'm grateful that things happened when they happened, and that I was able to process and go through everything this year. You know, it just dawned on me how crazy it is. I don't think any of us are getting out of 2020 being the same person we were last year. It's fucking positive, if you ask me. So I'm shooting this on the 29th of December with the hopes of posting this on the 31st. Alright, signing off. See you next year. This is a very special gift I got. Printed out memes. So very timely when it's December 31st and someone says, see you next year. See you next year. I just realized that the last frame of that video, my hair is fucking scrumpy. Okay, I think I'm good. See you next year. You do me a solid and like pretend that this pimple did not make an appearance in the entirety of this video. Thank you. The Vimeo account and my baby boo, my baby. Okay, he doesn't like. Got a mic here. Hello. Do we like this? No, we don't. I look like the villain from Sin City, don't I? Kind of much better, I think. Money shot. No, draw, and you know, drawing. Why can't I say drawing? Drawing. What's wrong with me? Are you yellow? If I cover this up with concealer, will it work? Sorta did. This is one of the few times I think I wish I had foundation on. Okay, game.